Alright. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Mythanor, and I'm here today to talk about the card reveals coming in the Midwinter update. Midwinter update is also planned to bring a tech update for the game as well. It, however, will not be bringing the new game mode. We found this out recently, so I thought I'd just state what we know right up front here. But along with that, we are getting about 110 cards or something like that. Quite a few cards. Really big update. The thing to keep in mind with these cards is some of them are designed specifically in mind for the new game mode, which again is not releasing yet, but this should be in the next couple months. And we don't know what the game mode is, but the speculation is some sort of draft mode for Gwent. So let's just jump right in. First, we got our neutrals, and starts with the bronzes. So I'm going to be going through the entire list here. I've gone through each set of cards as they've been revealed on my stream, but I will go through all of them here in one video for what we have so far. So, starting with Boulder. It's a special organic card. It deals 7 damage to an enemy and moves it to the row above. If the row is full, it destroys the unit instead. This is an interesting card because it basically confirms that there is some sort of row limit on each of the 3 rows now. And this is basically showing some of the power creep in Gwent, as this is Alzur's Thunder, but better now. And because of this, Alzur's Thunder has also been changed. It's not here because it's not a new card, but Alzur's Thunder is now a deal 9 damage instead, which is pretty powerful. It makes Ithling Double Zap a 20-point play. It's not terrible. There's a lot of 9-point units that have been troublesome in the past because they're not been as easily removable by things that deal damage, because 9 points is historically been something hard to remove. Things like Wild Hunt Riders, for example. 9 points, difficult to remove. Now, however, with Zap, they will be removable. And with Boulder, we can see some synergy with movement decks as well. And just, it's kind of a counter to any sort of swarm deck, because if any swarm deck has a big unit, then it just kind of dies to Boulder. So, moving on to Spear. It is our first item card in Gwent. It is a special item. Deal damage equal to the base power of a bronze or silver unit in your hand. Now, this could be pretty decent in, say, like Skellige. Having a 12-point removal is not a bad card, especially if you can play it by pulling it from your deck, which Skellige has gotten some cards to do that. And then you have other factions that can do that as well, with Elven Mercenaries or things of that nature. Along with Spear, we have Wyvern Shield. These cards are very similar. This is also an item. Boost a unit by the initial power of a unit in your hand. Now, initial power is different than base power, though, which makes this card inherently weaker at its best, but more consistent, because you don't have to have a big unit to remove to make it worth playing. You could play it with something somewhat big in your hand, and it also doesn't have to be bronze or silver. It can be gold as well. So you could play this with Geralt, for example, and you basically have spotters like in Reveal Nilfgaard, but from a special, and you don't have to actually reveal the unit in your hand. You just, play the card. So this is an interesting card. The fact that it's neutral, who knows, we may see some decks with this. I do expect to see some kind of meme decks that are just like these 3 cards strewn in a lot. It'd be kind of funny. Mainly just the Spear and the Shield would be kind of fun deck. Next is Peasant Militia. It's a special tactic. So this is our first bronze tactic card as well, which is pretty important, as this allows John Natalis to be run even more freely, because before you have to devote silver slots to run Natalis, and on top of that, you have to run a few silvers in order to make sure he's not a dead draw. because if you draw your tactics but you don't draw Natalis, and you play your one or two tactics and you don't have it, then Natalis is dead. But with bronzes being tactics, that opens up Natalis even more. And this card, fill a row with peasants. Now, since we don't know what the row limit will be, we don't exactly know how to evaluate this card, and we don't know how strong peasants are. So I'm pretty much just going to leave this one as it is and move on. Okay, that was supposed to mute, sorry. Portcullis. This is another tactic. It's a special silver. Spawn a bronze or silver unit from your opponent's starting deck and boost it by 2. Interesting effect. This is the first instance of the spawn keyword change. Okay, so now spawn in this context means it will randomly pick 3 bronze or silvers from your opponent's deck, show you them, and you pick one of them. Okay, so honestly, this instance of it isn't so bad because it's very limiting on the RNG. But we have more of these with the new spawn effect later on that are very, very, very RNG, and we'll talk about those when we get to them. But this one, I don't particularly like this card solely because the flavor of the card is just wrong. Like, how is this related to a portcullis at all? Gwent has historically been good about that. Their cards' abilities have historically been made sense with the card itself, but portcullis just doesn't make sense to me as a concept here. Like, why are you getting a unit from your opponent's side? It doesn't, I don't know. But on top of that, I don't know. This card's okay. It has a big opportunity to whiff, as there will probably be a lot of instances where you don't want any card from your opponent's deck because it's just not going to be useful. Like Consume, for example. Consume, your best chance is to find, like, Consume right now anyway. Your best chance is to find, like, Imperial Manticore or maybe Necrarats. But finding, say, one of their, like, 10 Neckers, or finding a Necker Warrior. Necker Warrior might be okay, actually. But finding Necker Warrior in a lot of decks would not be good. There's just a lot of chance for this card to just be terrible. But it is one of those that looks like it's designed for the new game mode, so we'll see. So let's move on to our first unit. We have Lesser Demons. It's a unit and it's a relic. And one thing to note about this card is there's no road label. There's not even a double circle arrow thing to indicate any row, because all units are now agile, so there's no use for putting the road label on the card. So it removes a little bit of unnecessary information from the card. It's a 9 strength silver unit. What it does is it moves a unit from your deck to your hand, then discard a random card. So this is an interesting effect. I actually, among all the RNG effects that have been shown so far in these card reveals, this one I think is one of the least worrisome. But one thing to note is, because of the way the card is worded, it sounds like you have a chance of discarding the card you just pulled. So it could be risky to run, but it could also be kind of a fun fun card to run as well. It's an interesting one though. We'll see. So, Stregobor, 10 strength silver card. He's a mage. Truce. Each player draws a unit and sets its power to 1. So, Truce here is, if anyone remembers what Clash was, Truce is Clash. Clash was removed as a tag, and they're reintroducing it now. But it's basically, it means if neither player has passed. So this is like, it's like Albrecht. You can't play, if you play Albrecht after your opponent has passed, nothing happens except he's a 9-point silver. This is a 10-point silver, but it sets the cards to 1, it doesn't reveal them. So kind of another risky card. Maybe if you're running a very low power deck to begin with that does, you know, effects and things, maybe this could be worth it. You know, your opponent's Skellige and they draw into something pretty big, it's set to 1, they're probably not gonna be very happy. It's an interesting card though. Nivellen. Another cursed unit, as I believe, wait, was this cursed? No, never mind. Okay, cursed unit here, 10 strength silver. I like the card art. I want to see the premium for this card. Move all units on a row to random rows. So initially I thought this card was like Sheldon Skaggs, where you play it on one of your rows and it moves all the other units. It's not though. You play it on any row, and then you get to choose what row is affected. So you play it, it's like you play it and then you get the option to choose any of the 6 rows, yours or your opponent's, sort of like you get to choose Lacerate. That's how that works. Interesting card. I mean, if you're running something like Gold Weather, your opponent's row stacking, this could be very useful to split up their row stacking. Or if you're running a movement deck, this is insanely good to, you know, basically force a Sheldon Skaggs on them and move all of their units off of their row stacked row. So if you're running movement and it's Gold Weather going on, they're row stacking, you play this guy, bam, you do like 40 points in 1 turn or something like that. So interesting card. I kind of like it. I would imagine this gets played in movement quite a bit because this is a lot of movement. Okay, our first gold here. It's an interesting card. It's a special. It's an alchemy card. It's called Trial of the Grasses. Anyone who's played Witcher 3 would know something about Trial of the Grasses. So what it does, deal 10 damage to a unit unless it's a Witcher. If it survives, boost it to 25 power. So let's say you use this on regular, so you could use this on, I don't know, an 11-point like veteran in Skellige, and suddenly it's boosted to 25 points. So it would be like a 14-point gold in that situation, which isn't that good. Now, however, the wording of this is a little bit unclear. It doesn't, it's able to be played on a Witcher, but it just doesn't do damage, which is a little unclear with the card. Because when I initially read it, I thought it can't work on Witchers because the Trial of the Grasses is, you know, how they part of how they become Witchers. So it just wouldn't do anything. It's not true. What it actually means is if you played this on a Witcher, that Witcher doesn't take damage and is instantly 25. So you play Trial of the Grasses on, say, Gigny, Geralt Igni, 5-point gold. He becomes a 25-point gold. So it's a 20-point. Trial of the Grasses would be a 20-point play in this situation. Or you could play it on, let's say, a bronze Witcher, such as, I think the lowest one we have is like 4 points. That's a big play. That's 21 points right there. So, interesting card, and not terrible point-wise. Also, what I have heard is Quid doesn't... So if you hit a Quinned unit, it removes the Quinn because it dealt 10 damage, and the unit becomes 25. So on a Quinned unit, this is a 25-point. Or this is a, you know, like if you Quinn, let's say lowest unit you could Quinn, Elven Mercenary, right? It's a 3-point unit at that point, so this is a 22-point gold. That's pretty good. That is, however, its hard cap, because the lowest possible you could play it on without several other things going on. I mean, you could weaken a Witcher, like you could weaken, let's say we have a 4-point Witcher and you weaken it with Gwen, it gets weakened by Gwenlave to 1, then this is a 24-point gold. But under normal circumstances, this is pretty much capped at 22. Still not bad though, if you're going for just pure consistent points in a deck. So let's move on to Uma's Curse. Another gold special. It's a spell and it's a cursed card. Spawn a gold unit and transform into it. Now this is another card wording that's a little bit off. Basically, it randomly chooses 3 golds throughout the entire game. Gold units throughout the entire game. And you pick one, and Uma becomes that card. So you're given the option of Geralt, Geralt Igni, and Geralt Ard. You pick Igni, you played Igni that turn. That's what this card is. You picked regular Geralt, you play regular Geralt. That's all this card is. It is very, very, very much designed for that new game mode in mind. Basically, if you're choosing between golds for one of your slots and you're presented with some bad options and this one, you could take this one and just hope that the RNG rolls you a little bit better the next time. So, I don't know, interesting card. Hopefully this never becomes competitive because that is just pure RNG right there. So the next card, I kind of like this one. Ciri Nova. I really like the card art. The premium looks really cool. She has the Sentra tag, she has a Witcher tag, and she has a Doom tag. Don't ask me why she has the Witcher tag when she's not really a Witcher. I don't know. But she's a 1-point gold, but her effect is what makes her interesting. If you have exactly 2 copies of each bronze card in your starting deck, set power to 25. So this means you have to run 2 ofs in your deck. It also means you have to run 26 cards in your deck or cut a gold or silver. Most situations, people would end up running 26 cards. But this is a straight 25-point play just because of the way you built your deck, which is not bad. Royal Decree into this for 27 points is it's pretty good. That's pretty good. It does, however, you know, running 2 ofs makes for obvious problems with thinning or mulliganing and thinning as well. So you just have to keep that in mind when designing your deck. But it's an interesting card. I like its design. It's a unique card for the game. It's also another one of the cards that uses starting deck and not current deck, which is also interesting as we're seeing a few of these cards introduced. So we have Geralt Yrden. Okay, so this card is interesting. He's a unit, he's a Witcher, 5-point gold body, reset all units and remove their tokens. So this would set everything to base strength on the field, and it would remove all tokens, such as resilience or spying. So this is a huge, huge card, and a lot of people are calling this overpowered or broken. We'll have to wait and see, but right now it's looking like this is a very, very powerful card. This single-handedly kind of destroys spies because you reset them and you remove all their spying tags. What are they gonna do? It also kind of completely messes up Scoia'tael, Spellatael in particular, because the deck is all about boosts. So you play this late into, like, it's a long round 1, you play this in as Skellige, and that's pretty much a win for that round, because all of their work that round is just gone. They're stuck with like some 1s, 2s, and a 5, and yeah. So this is a very powerful card. We'll see. I feel like this is going to be run quite a bit if it doesn't get somehow tweaked. Saskia Dragonfire. So this is an 8-point unit. Draconid and Aedirn. think this is the first Adian tag we have. Banish your hand and draw that many cards. And this is important that it's banish and not discard, because if it was discard, you might actually be able to find some competitive use for this card in a discard deck. But with banish, this is pretty much I'm playing the new arena mode or draft mode or whatever, and my hand sucks, so I'm gonna just play Saskia. Other than that, I don't know. This card is interesting. Questionable, but interesting. We'll have to see. I don't even know where to begin. This one's just so different. It is an interesting design though. It's not a lazy design. It is new, so that's kind of nice. But that ends all the neutrals that we have so far. But we still have almost half are unrevealed still. Maybe more than half. I don't know. I'm not gonna count. But that brings us to monsters. So our first actual faction. And first card, Siren. 4-point bronze beast. Summons Moonlight. And we don't know exactly what Moonlight is. We do, however, know that when Moonlight is played, it has two options. It has a positive, a boon, and a negative, a hazard. So you play the boon on your side or the hazard on your opponent's side, but we don't know what those do, so it's really, really impossible to evaluate this card. It is, however, important to note that it says summon, which means that Moonlight card has to be in your deck in order to be played. So this does thin a card from your deck as well. Werewolf. 7-point bronze, it's cursed and it's a beast. Immune, which I'll talk about in a second, strengthened by 7 on contact with Moonlight. So that's not a bad card. If you have the Moonlight boon, you play this and he becomes a 14. I imagine if you're playing against someone who played the hazard Moonlight on your side, you play the werewolf into the hazard, he still strengthens by 7. So that makes Moonlight kind of a risky play if you're playing the hazard. And we don't know what either the hazard or the boon do, so I don't know how good or bad it would be to play the werewolf into that. Now, the immune tag. This is new. Not tag, but the immune keyword here. It's new. And it's not on, I think it's on any cards besides werewolf here. What it means is this card can't be targeted by target effects. So machines that, so like a reinforced ballista that, you know, shoots one specific target, you can't target the werewolf with it. You can't target it with shackles or any sort of effects like that. It, however, is not immune to AoE effects such as Iriden or Dimeridium Bomb or Igni or Scorch or Bork. So it is not completely invulnerable, but it is not able to be targeted. So you couldn't lock this with a silver lock either. So it's an interesting new keyword here, but it's only appeared on this card so far, so we'll wait and see what other cards get it. Then we have the Alpha Werewolf. 10 strength bronze. Spawn a wolf on either side if played into Moonlight. Now, this card, the wolves it spawns are 1 point. They're the same rabid wolves, I believe, that Woodland Spirit spawns. So this is a 12-point bronze versus this being a 14 with the same condition. This one, however, so there's a trade-off. This is 10 points without its condition. This is only 7, but with their conditions, this is 14 and this is 12. So it's an interesting trade-off there. Again, without knowing what Moonlight is, this is another hard card to kind of evaluate because, yeah, you know, without knowing what it is, you're not gonna know if people are gonna run it or if it's worth running. So let's just move to our silvers. Parasite, organic special. This premium is creepy as hell. Just a warning. Choose one. So this is our first choose one card. Now, I don't mind this choose one thing. It's okay. It's like Mardro and Mandrake already have that, which is fine. So choose one. Deal 12 damage to an enemy or boost an ally by 12. So it's pretty much a better Manticore Venom. Because it's like Mandrake with the positive and negative same effects, but it has a more defined cap. It's only going to be a 12-point play ever, right? You can remove specific units, which would be more points down the road, but it is only ever going to be a 12-point play in that turn. Whereas Mandrake, you could wait for a unit to get rather big, and then Mandrake it down to banish it after your opponent has spent time buffing it. So this is an interesting card. It might be run, honestly. It's 12 points of removal is pretty good. Just 12 points removal is just not bad. So we'll see. So we have Striga. It's a relict cursed unit. It's 5-point silver. And it deals 8 damage to a non-monster unit. So this is a 13-point play max. But 8 damage removal is, again, not bad. Not bad removal. A lot of things you can remove with 8 damage. But besides that, it's pretty standard card and made a little bit worse if you're up against a monster deck. That's about it. Ruhin. 8-point silver. He's insectoid and cursed. What he does, strengthen all of your insectoid and cursed units by 1 wherever they are. So you run an insectoid cursed. You're an insectoid cursed mashup deck in monsters, and you can run this guy, and he'd be a decent amount of points because he can he can hit units in the graveyard, in your deck, on the field. He's like Foltest in that if you play him in like Foltest is, easier to, get value out of, obviously, but if you play a deck with this guy in mind, he could be pretty good points probably, because we're seeing more cursed units as well, and we have several insectoid units already. So I don't know. He might be playable. He might be pretty good. Also, his card art's pretty cool. So let's move on to Goliath. Goliath is a 10-point silver. He's an Ogroid. What he does, boosts self by 6, but whenever this unit is damaged, deal 2 damage to self. So every time this guy is hit, he's hit by that amount plus 2. So let's say your opponent plays a ballista that fires 3 times. What would normally hit this guy for 3 points is instead going to hit for 9 points. That's a lot of points. I don't particularly like Goliath. He's too vulnerable, honestly. Scorch target, Igni target by anything that does damage, because you get more value out of your damage. I don't particularly like him. Even as a finisher, a 16-point finisher, I just don't see as that good. In the way the game is going, 16 points is just not that big as a finisher anymore. But we'll see. Maybe he'll be playable. Maybe I'm wrong about the card. We'll see. And then we have our monster gold cards. And we have two, so far we have 2 Crones gold cards. So it's a good speculation that this is a gold Crone, or perhaps another leader, which we'll talk about in a second. So Brewis Ritual, Relict and a Mage. 1 point gold, resurrect 2 bronze Deathwish units. I guess you could resurrect things like Rot Fiends, which have not a, I don't know. This card, Deathwish units don't usually have that high a base strength, so resurrecting them would be okay. And then if you're going to, I guess, play them with the one that consumes them and then does their effect, wouldn't be bad. But it's interesting card. Maybe if we get some more Death Wish cards, we might see some more use out of this. Weavis Incantation. It's a Relict Mage, 4-point gold, to choose one. So, you either strengthen all allied relics by 2, or play a bronze or silver relic from your deck and strengthen it by 2. I think this card is actually pretty decent. If you're running a relic deck, strengthen... If you have a bunch of relics on field and you drop this, that's not a terrible amount of points. It could be a good tempo play of like 20 points if you have... I mean, you'd have to have, I guess, 8 relics on the field. So you'd run like Crones, like Silver Crones, and then some other bronze relics in there. And after a decent length round, you drop this for a good amount of points. Or you could use it as an opener to pull your Crones. And if you run this with Roach and Crones, that's what, a 28 point? No, that's a 30 point play because you're strengthening the one you pulled by 2. So, not bad, strength-wise. Really, really high tempo opening play if you go that direction. You do have to devote a gold and 4 silvers for that single play, but hey, 4 cards thinning is not bad either. But again, devoting silvers for that. And then we have our first gold leader. Our first new leader. Whispering Hillock. It's a relic leader. And it's 6 points body. Spawn an organic card. Now, I'm not really a fan of this card because it is a leader that is just an RNG spawn, which I'm not a huge fan of the design. And spawn an organic card honestly just doesn't lend itself to any sort of deck synergy, which is another reason I don't like this one. It is very, very obviously designed as a leader for the new game mode. Personally, I don't think we should have to have leaders designed for the new game mode. I think the leaders, most of them should be able to stand on their own, even in a new game mode, if you pick your cards accordingly in a draft form. But the reason I don't like it is because the leader is not really playable in regular Gwents. You could as sort of a meme, but other than that, it's sort of just a separation between the two game modes, and it'll see lots of play in the other game mode, whereas other leaders will suffer and not see as much gameplay because they don't have this RNG get out of jail, well, not free, but get out of jail free card to fix some sort of bad deck like this does. I don't personally like it, but we'll have to we don't know what the game mode is 100%, so maybe this card, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not going to be that bad, but I just personally don't see this being runnable in normal Gwent, which is one of the reasons I just don't like it. But let's move on to Nilfgaard. So our first Nilfgaard card is actually a special. It's an alchemy special, and it's an item. Holtus Ointment. And it's another choose one. Heal an ally and randomly split 5 boost between allies. So heal here is, if it's damaged, put it back to base strength. And then boost other units by 5 randomly. So minimum value 5, and you have to run a big enough unit that it's not going to be instantly removed, but it's going to be damaged. So, I mean, to get more than 10 points, you have to run a card that can be healed by at least 5 points without being easily removable. It's, I don't know. The thing with Nilfgaard right now doesn't have a lot of cards that would be good to run with this one, I don't think. Anyway, let's move on to the next card. All right, Slave Driver. He is a officer. And he's a bronze 3-point unit. Spawn a bronze unit from your opponent's deck. So this is that randomly picks 3 options from your opponent's deck, and you pick one. So that's what he does. If you end up in a mirror, since this doesn't specify a bronze that isn't Slave Driver, you could technically end up in a mirror where you get infinite value because you just keep getting slave drivers that keep getting slave drivers forever, and then you would just run out of time on your turn, and the AI would take over, and it would just keep going forever, and the game would actually break, which would actually be extremely funny. Row limits may actually stop that from happening, but I think the card just needs to have a little word in there, spawn a different bronze unit from your opponent's deck, so it can't find a slave driver. Other than that, I think the card's kind of cool. I like it. Viper School Witcher. As it says, it's a Witcher. It's a Witcher. It's 7-point bronze. Deal 3 damage. Increase damage dealt by 1 for each alchemy card in your initial deck. So this is how many alchemy cards are in your deck builder before you actually play the game. This card is actually, I like it. It can be powerful. You can build a deck around this. You play Vico Novices with Mahaka Mail, and then like Vesemir with Mandrake or something else, or you run Trial of the Grasses. This is a very good card. This is a 7 deal 7. Trial of the Grasses, this up to 25 points. This is a solid card. I like it. I think it's an interesting design, and I think we'll get we'll see some decks built around this. Don't know how viable they'll be in the long run, but we'll see them because I want to build one. Slave Hunter. He is a 8-point bronze soldier. Charm a bronze enemy with 3 power or less. So they don't say what charm is here, but I'm assuming it pulls a unit with 3 power, bronze unit with 3 power or less from your opponent's side of the board to your side. So at most it's an 14-point play. Succubus math. I mean it's basically a bronze low power succubus. Honestly, it's not bad. It you weaken a unit and then steal it, and then okay, so here's a combo, right? Use Viper School Witcher to weaken a 10 strength unit, steal it with Slave Hunter, and then heal it with Poultice, and that's a pretty good combo. Because then this was a 14-point play, this was a 14-point play, and then this was a 12-point play. That's 3 bronzes in a row that just make each other better. So that's an interesting little combo you could do right there. I kind of like these cards. This one, actually, that's interesting. You just steal a card with Slave Hunter and then heal it. Huh. I like it. I like it. I don't know. I like that card. So our first Nilfgaard Silver. So far we only have 2 Nilfgaard Silvers, but our first one here, Cadaverine Venom. It's a item. It's a special. It's somehow not an alchemy card though, which I find interesting. But whatever. It's another choose one. Deal 2 damage to an enemy and all units that share its categories, plural, very important, or destroy a bronze or silver neutral unit. Don't have a lot of bronze or silver neutral units, so that part is probably not very good. This deal 2 damage part interests me a lot because we're getting a lot more categories added to the game, and there's a lot of overlapping categories. So these are actually kind of some of the worst examples in Nilfgaard, But in, let's say, Northern Realms, you have Mage and Cursed, you have Mage and Cursed, you have Cursed Soldier and Aedirn. So this one in particular, hitting all Cursed units, all Soldier units, and all Aedirn units that your opponent has on the field by 2 points, I think that could be pretty powerful. There are a lot of Soldier units that get run in Northern Realms, for example. There's several Aedirn units, and there are actually quite a few Cursed units that have been introduced. So I don't know. I think this card has some potential. We'll have to see how this is a very meta-dependent card in how much your opponent's categories overlap. But like Scoia'tael, for example, Dwarf is a category. You're hitting all your opponent's dwarves or all your opponent's elves, and then if they're soldiers, then you're hitting all of the soldiers as well. So if you hit, the opponent has a lot of dwarves, and then one of them is a soldier, and they also have a few elves that are also soldiers. You hit the dwarf soldier, and it hits all of their dwarves, and then it also hits those elf soldiers as well. So I think this has some potential to it in decks that will put some, a lot of units on the board. If you hit 10 units, it's 20 power. Not terrible. Might be hard to achieve, though. So let's move on to, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Vriemde? I don't know. He's a silver 4-point officer. Spawn a bronze Nilfgaardian soldier. Now, this is the choose 3. Very obvious for the new game mode. The problem is there are a lot of Nilfgaardian soldiers, and a lot of them are bad to find on their own. So this guy could be decent, or he could whiff entirely. Very, very RNG. We'll have to see. So, Letho Kingslayer. He is a Witcher, of course, and he is a 4-point gold unit. He's also a choose 1 ability. Destroy an enemy leader on the board and set self to 11, or play a bronze or silver tactic from your deck. So he can either be a 2-point lower Natalis, or he can destroy your opponent's leader and set self to 11. The most obvious power play to use this on is Unseen Elder. 11 points removing, let's say, a 15-point Unseen Elder, that's pretty damn good. That's 26 points in one play. Even on normal leaders, let's say Emir, he's a 7-point. That's an 18-point play, not bad. And if you're up against a leader that, like Foltest, I mean, that's even 16 points, but you might play his Natalis version. Who knows? I think I like this card. Might be a bit overpowered, though. Yennefer Tremors. She's a mage, she's Aedirn, she's a 5-point gold. Spawn the last bronze or silver spell you played. So this is like old Nature's Gift on a stick. The most stupid play I could see with this is Summoning Circle. Other than that, this card's interesting, and it's kind of okay. I like it. I don't think it's broken or overpowered or anything, but it's kind of decent. We'll see. And then we have Shillard. A lot of people don't like Shillard. Shillard is 9-point gold. He has the officer category. Draw a card from both decks. Keep one and give the other to your opponent. So you draw the top card from your opponent's deck, top card from your deck. You look at them, and you decide which one do I want and which one do I want to give to my opponent. I really like this card because its design is new and unique, and I just really like this card. 9 points may be a little too powerful for him, but I think it's a really cool card. I like it. So let's get to Northern Realms now. So we're about halfway, a little past halfway. Northern Realms has, I like a lot of the Northern Realms cards that are being added. They have some of the better ones, to be honest. Let's start with this, Winch. It is a bronze special tactic, which again, Natalis becomes more playable the more tactics we have, especially bronze ones. Spawn a bronze Northern Realms machine and boost it by 2. This is another choose 3 card, but this is a very powerful version of a choose 3. Because if you play, let's say for example, opening play, your Henselt, you have 3 towers in your deck. You play Natalis for Winch, pulling a tower. So, okay, first off, that is Natalis for 6 plus a 10-point tower. That's a 16-point play, not bad by itself. If you took the 1 turn to set up for it, you had, let's say, you had Ronvid on the board. Then it's an 18-point play. Then you play Henselt, and you pull 3 towers out of your deck, and you play huge points in just a couple of turns. Makes Henselt even more annoying to play against. But this is an interesting card. I don't want to say good because some people are saying it's overpowered, and I just don't want to say good because it actually might be a little too good, which makes its design kind of bad. You know, it's a powerful card in that sense, but I don't know how well it's designed. It's kind of fun though. So let's move on to the units. So we have Tormented Mage, 2 strength bronze. It's a mage and it's cursed. Look at 2 bronze spells or items from your deck, then play 1. This is Northern Realms Elven Mercenary, basically. I do like it. It's thinning. It allows you to play more bronze. It allows you to play more spells and special cards in Northern Realms. And it has some synergy, which I will mention in about 2 cards. But other than that, I kind of like the card. Damned Sorceress. Mage cursed as well. 4-point bronze. If there is a curse unit on this row, deal 7 damage. So this is just an 11-point play with a 7-point removal. Not bad for a bronze. That's a good amount of removal, and that's just a pretty good card in general. Because we have several cursed cards, including this guy, Cursed Knight. 8-point bronze, Cursed Soldier Aedird, which I used an example for units with several overlapping tags earlier. What he does, transform a cursed ally into a copy of this unit, and it gets 2 armor. So, let's say, it doesn't say base copy. So let's say you boosted this guy somehow in your hand with Foltest. Or, something. Who knows? Foltest is a bad example. Let's say you boost this guy somehow in your hand. He's like it's a 12 now. You play this with this guy on the field, and first off, you played something from this. Like, you could have quinned this guy. Let's say you quinned this, okay? So it's 10-point bronze. You played this guy beforehand, and you played Quinn on this guy. So this is a 2-point bronze on the field. Play this guy as a 10-point bronze, turning this guy into this guy, including Quinn, including the 2-point buff, which would then make this a 18-point play from a bronze. Now, that is only 20 points in 2 plays, but it also sets up further of these, and you could play Tormented Mage, more Tormented Mages for other spells besides Quinn after that. So you could play them for Alzur's Thunder, for example, in which case each Tormented Mage is 11 points, turning them into 10 points with Quinn. Very, very powerful sequence back and forth, if you can pull it off. I don't know. I like these 3 cards a lot. I really like these cards and how they can work together. So moving to Northern Realms Silvers. We have Hubert Rake, is how I'm told his last name is pronounced. He is a vampire. Wow, that voice crack. He's a vampire, 7-point silver. Also, you can see Priscilla in the background. And what he does, drain all boosts from units in your deck. So, play Foltest turn 1, play Hubert turn 2. You had, 30 cards in deck. Hubert is now a 37-point play. That's pretty strong. That's just strong. That's all it is. And it's gonna get scorched or coraled. So, have fun with that. I don't know. It's an interesting card. I like its design. I don't know how viable it's gonna be, just because in the best case, he's taking points that you would already have had in most decks. Maybe 40 card decks you wouldn't, or probably wouldn't. But in a lot of decks, you would have those points coming out over time. So you're just weakening your deck over time, but you're making a huge tempo play. So you kind of have to figure out, is that worth it? And you got to remember, Jade figurine or artifact compression exists. So let's move to Vincent. He is he's a cursed beast. He's an 8-point silver. I also thought he was a vampire, so I don't know why he doesn't have a vampire tag, but whatever. Destroy the armor of all units, then boost self by half the value destroyed. So he's basically just a nuke. Like, you have a bunch of armored units and you can't remove all of their armor. You just drop Vincent, you remove all their armor, boost yourself by half, and any of the abilities associated with that armor getting removed, triggered. So pretty good card in Armor Northern Realms. Kian. Let's just look at the card art. Kian. Poor Kian. He's a cursed witcher. 4-point gold. He's a choose one. Spawn bronze or silver alchemy card, or spawn a bronze or silver item. I don't really particularly like this because of how broad those two categories are. But he's very clearly designed with the new game mode in mind. Beyond that, I don't really have much to say. You could try the grass as him for big points afterwards. But besides that, I don't particularly like his design. I like the card art though. And the premium is disturbing and really well done. Let's move to Selkirk. Another really good premium card, by the way, Selkirk. You just have to look it up. He is a officer, cursed, and Aedirn. Again, 3 tags there. You hit Selkirk with that potion, and you're hitting a lot of things with that. But anyway, 7-point gold, duel an enemy, and he has 3 armor. So duel is a new mechanic, and so far it's only on Selkirk. Basically, what it does is you play Selkirk, you deal his current strength or current power as damage to the unit you duel. Okay, so let's use the Guardian, 11-point silver, as an example. So you play a regular 7-point Selkirk, deal 7 damage to the Guardian. That unit then attacks back, hits back. So the Guardian then hits back, but it hits back for its current strength as well. So you played a 7, dealt 7 to an 11. It's now at 4 and deals 4 damage to you, but you have the 3 armor. So Selkirk is now a 6, deals 6 damage to the 4-point unit. So you have, in the end, you had a 17-point play because you have a 6-point unit on the board that removed an 11-point unit. There was a little chart on Reddit you can look at for the different values you get out of Selkirk given the different scenarios. Overall, it's an interesting card though. I don't know. Don't know how viable it's gonna be. So, Vandergrift. Cursed Kaedwan Officer. 7-point gold. Damage all enemies by 1. If a unit is destroyed, apply Ragnarok to its row. So, damage all enemies by 1 is already kind of okay, just because of how much damage that is in longer rounds. But you have to keep in mind that to get value out of the damage aspect, you're giving up Ragnarok value. So you can try to set it up where your opponent, you're hitting several ones, but the longer you wait to use Vandergrift for that, the less time Ragnarok is going to be on the field. So he's an interesting card. I kind of like his design, but I think he's overpowered because, yeah, I just think he's overpowered. 7 points, apply Ragnarok is just kind of, that's a lot. That's a lot. Anyway. Ada. So this is the second leader we have added. Haha. Don't, yeah. She's a leader, she's cursed, she's 6 points. Spawn a bronze or silver cursed unit. Now, this is also a spawn effect like the Whispering Hillock. However, one thing spawns a unit. Another thing, it's cursed. So spawning a cursed unit with the cursed leader in a cursed archetype actually makes sense. It's still RNG, and I don't really like the design because it seems a little bit lazy, but it at least has synergies and is actually good. On average, this could be pretty good. Like you're looking at maybe getting Olgierd or Morkvarg for free, or several other good cursed cards for from her. So I think this is actually playable in normal Gwent. Unlike Whispering Hillock, I don't think it's very playable, but I just don't like the design very much. So let's move to Scoia'tael. Scoia'tael first. Bronze. What's interesting is Scoia'tael doesn't have any bronze specials being added. The previous factions, we had Winch, we had Poultice being added, nothing in monsters either. In Scoia'tael, the faction that's known for its spells is not getting any. Anyway, well, at least none that we know of. These very well could be specials, because this is a 2. So we'll see. Anyway, Elven Scout. 2-point bronze, soldier, elf. Spawn a bronze Scoia'tael unit that is not in your starting deck. I really don't think this is going to be that good. It's hard to get value out of because of the choose 3. There's a lot of Scoia'tael units, so you'd basically have to decide, I want to play this unit at some point, but I don't want it enough to put in my deck. Therefore, I don't think Elven Scout is worth running in the deck either. Yeah, this card's just kind of weird. Panther. I don't know why they have a Panther card, but whatever. It's a beast, 4-point bronze. Deals 7 damage to an enemy on a row with less than 3 units. So this is kind of like this chick, Damn Sorceress, but the getting value out of it is harder because you have to have a unit that's worth dealing 7 damage to, but you also have to have a row with less than 3 units, which could be difficult in some situations. I don't know. It's kind of mediocre. It's just worse than Damn Sorceress, in my opinion, from Northern Realms. Half-Elf Hunter. It's a unit, it's an elf, and it's a soldier. 6-point bronze that spawns a base copy of itself. So this is literally just play 12 points on 2 bodies. Honestly, it's not bad. A 12-point bronze is actually pretty decent. Like it's always going to be 12 points. And what's even better is it's less scorchable. People play reinforced siege towers in Northern Realms all the time right now for their value, and those generally are getting somewhere around 11 to 13 points on average. This is very similar, but is much less scorchable. The individual bodies are removable, sure, but you could say that about damaging the towers as well. I originally thought this card was really dumb. Looking at it more, just a 12-point bronze. Honestly, that's something Scoia'tael kind of needs. Just, they need some value cards. Just straight up value. So I think it's okay. Mahaka Mahorn. It's a special item. Silver. Choose one. Spawn a bronze or silver dwarf. So this would show you 3 dwarves. Or strengthen it by 7. Now, usually you would take the dwarf option, right? That's not even that bad of an option. I mean, a lot of the dwarves are good to find. So you could find a second Barclay Hells, for example, or you could find an Agitator, or you could find another Yarpen. It's got options to it. I think it is a decent play. I just don't like the randomness to it. Polly Dahlberg, 4-point silver dwarf, and it's a support. Resurrect a non-support bronze dwarf. That's not bad. There's not very many support bronze dwarves, so this guy's actually pretty decent. Resurrection is something that Scoia'tael didn't really have much of, or any of, so being able to do that at least somewhat for dwarves is pretty good. I think this card's okay. Melaine, 5-point silver. She's a unit, she's an elf. I don't know why they have the unit tag on this one. Deal 4 damage to the units on the end of a row. The problem is, this is very easy to play around, because you have to hit a row with units on the ends that are worth hitting. And even if you do, this card is only 13 points, but is not 13 points with removal like Striga was. Striga has the 8 points of damage on one unit, which is good for removal. 4 points of damage on units. It's not worth it because you're not getting removal out of. I just think this card's kind of bad. Pavko Gale is this soldier. Silver, 5 points. Play a random bronze or silver item from your deck. So you play Pavko Gale and Mahakam Horn as your only item, and you have a 5-point spawn a bronze or silver dwarf. So could be okay. You could even Pavko Gale Mahakam Horn into Polly Dahlberg to res a dwarf, which would actually be a pretty good amount of points. So, honestly, it's pretty good. Isengrim Outlaw, unit elf officer, 3-point gold. Choose one. Spawn a silver special card. This is across all of Gwent's silver specials. Or spawn a silver Scoia'tael unit. This is so much RNG on one card. It's absurd. I don't like it. I think it can whiff so often. Or it can win a game and make your opponent just table flip. I don't like it. Xavier Morin. I think this card is actually an 11-point base strength now. They just haven't changed it on the website. He's a gold dwarf. We'll say 11 strength. Boost this unit by the starting power of the last dwarf you played. So let's say you play that 8-point guy, whose name I can't remember at the moment. Then this is a 19-point gold, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. That's not bad. That's not bad. Especially because, actually he'd be a 20-point because he would have gotten strengthened by that guy whose name I still can't remember. So yeah, I mean, this could be run. This is a good dwarf archetype card. About it. So last faction, Skellige. The first card they get is actually a special card. It's called Bone Talisman. It's a special item. It's a choose one. Resurrect a bronze beast or heal an ally and strengthen it by 3. So it's like a worse Priestess of Freya or a worse Armor Smith. It seems on the surface bad, but it could be run given a card that I'll talk about in a second. Beastmaster. It's a soldier and it's Tursek. 1-point bronze, spawn a bear. And a bear in this case being the 11-point bear that you get from Grimmest. So he's just a solid 12-point bronze, much like the half-elf from Scoia'tael, except 11 points is a much bigger, much easier target for removal from, say, Scorch, for example. So not much to say about this card besides it's 12 points and a bear. So this is the card I was talking about. Clan Protector, Soldier, Heimei, 2-point bronze. Play a bronze item from your deck. And so this lets you choose, by the wording of it, it lets you choose any item. Which means you play this, you play Bone Talisman, you resurrect a 11 or 12-point bear from a different source, and that's not bad. I mean, that's 14 points. It's slightly better than a Freya at that point if you're specifically looking to res a bear. And it thins your deck by 1. So we're finally getting a similar to Elven Mercenary in Skellige. So that's, I think that's a good thing. I think the other factions needed something similar for thinning. So we're getting onto the silvers now. First one is also a special. Ornamental Sword. It's a item. Spawn a Skellige soldier and strengthen it by 3. And so this will show you, this will be another choose 3 kind of RNG. There are not a lot of bad Skellige soldiers though. There are several that you wouldn't really want to find, but given it's choose 3 and it includes silvers by the sound of it, this could be very, very powerful if you get a little bit lucky, because you could get something like Zhang Fret in that. So again, it's a bit of an RNG play, but could be good. Darren. He's Dimon, he's cursed. 5 strength silver. Whenever an enemy is damaged, boosts his unit by 1. So this is old Axeman, right? Any enemy on the other side of the board, not just on the opposite row, is going to boost this guy when it gets damaged. So you play this in an Axeman deck, and it's giving you a better 4th Axeman, basically. Which, I mean, it sounds like, oh, this is, you know, gonna get coraled or ignited or scorched. But you gotta remember, Axemen were already getting coraled or ignited or scorched. So this is just giving you another source of points, and they can only remove so many of those points. So it's just gonna make Axemen a little bit better. That's about it. Giant Boar. It's a 7-point silver and it's a beast. Destroy a random ally, then boost self by 10. So this is this is a interesting card. Best way to use this that I can see. Round 3, your Skellige, obviously. So you may have Morkvarg, right? Morkvarg has resurrected himself in round 3, and he's now a 1 or 2 point card. You play Giant Boar as a 16-point play. That's not bad. There is no RNG in that version of the play here. Otherwise, you're looking at potentially losing points by playing this guy, because you could end up, you know, eating something pretty big. The other thing to keep in mind is, because you're Skellige, you may have reses, right? So if you don't have anything you want to res, but there's a chance that Boar eats, say, your Tursek Skirmisher, that you could then res for even more points, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It would be kind of bad. But if you have a completely empty graveyard, for some odd reason, it might work out. That's a very fringe case, though. So, him. 2-point gold, Brokvar, and Cursed. It's another choose one. Play a cursed unit from your deck, or spawn a silver unit from your opponent's deck. This card is actually pretty good. Like, you can play any cursed unit from your deck, so it's a better skill. Or you can do the choose one for a unit from a silver unit from your opponent's deck. That's not bad. Against like if you're playing a Saris deck and you play him against, you know, Northern Realms, you might get Ronvid. That's really, really nice for Saris, because you just keep killing, like, you eat Ronvid with the Grimmest Bear, and it's a res for Saris, and it's just really good. It could be really good. I like him. I think it's a pretty good card. Ulfhedin. I don't know. I gave up. He's an 8-point gold. He's beast and he's cursed. He also has a cool card art. Deal 2 damage to each damaged enemy. So, as long as you're not against Foltest, you play Stammelford Tremors and you play Ulfhedin, and you do a lot of damage. Not really much to it besides that. Or, you know, if you're against someone who's boosted a lot, you play Iriden, you play Tremors, you play Ulfhedin, and you do a lot of damage. Interesting card. I don't know. Probably will see play in Axeman. Olaf. He's a beast, he's cursed. 20-point gold body. Deal 10 damage to self. Reduce the damage inflicted by 2 for each beast you played this match. This is a really powerful, like, this is a 20-point finisher in most matches. You should not have any trouble, if you're playing this card, you should not have any trouble playing 5 beasts to get full value out of Olaf. Or you play 4 beasts, you play Olaf, and you play the horn guy, the Warcrier, to, you know, get a even better Olaf, a 27-point Olaf instead. I like it. It enables a beast archetype or a bear archetype for Skellige, and I think this will be a fun card to play. And that covers all of the cards for now. I know this is really long since I covered all of the cards revealed so far. So if you have any questions about the video or about the cards, you can ask me on my stream if you want, or in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. If you come to the stream, I'll post a link below. I usually answer anything asked to me on stream, so you are welcome to do that. But that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. I will hopefully be doing another video in the next week when they reveal more cards. It'll be much shorter because it'll be one set of revealed cards instead of all 3 sets that have been revealed so far. Anyway, have a good one, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this. This looks to be a really big update for Gwent. I think it's a good update. I think the RNG-ness is... sometimes it's a bit annoying here, but overall I think this update's gonna be good, and I look forward to it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Adios.